Hello, my name's Sheen. I work here at Stratfor on the editorial side of the organisation, and our job is really to take the analysis that we produce and get it out to our consumers in the most digestible way. Every Friday we sit down with a whole team and we look at some of the important things that are moving through the system and then things to watch over the weekend and into the next week. And what I'm going to do now is just give you some insights into the things that we're tracking going into the next week. In Spain, in the aftermath of the Catalonian independence referendum, the Spanish government has given the Catalonian government until 10 a.m. on October the 16th to decide whether it is truly declaring its independence. Based upon what Catalonia decides, the government in Madrid will then have to basically make a decision on how to deal with Catalonia. This is an important thing that we're watching because it will shape the fate of Spain in the years to come and also the fate of the rest of Catalonia region. Sticking with the theme of breakaway internal republics, an area that we're really focusing on next week is Iraq, and specifically the Iraqi Kurdistan region of the country. There's always been something of a fractious relationship between the Iraqi Kurds and the central government in Baghdad, and now we're seeing a lot of signs on the ground that the Kurds are actually taking steps to reinforce their position. We've seen some discussions over share of revenues from oil production, and we're actually seeing the military element of the Kurdish grouping in Iraq, known as the Peshmerga, take steps to reinforce their position. This might lead to some ground holding and taking activities, but it could also accelerate the divisions between the Kurds and Baghdad itself. This is something we'll be watching closely next week. On October 16th, representatives from the United States, Afghanistan, Pakistan and China will meet in Muscat and Oman to discuss the Afghanistan situation, specifically any way to negotiate or accelerate any form of peace talks. What's interesting about this meeting now is that the United States has finally unveiled its new Afghan strategy, and we've already seen this start to manifest on the ground from the air as the US has actually increased the amount of ordnance it's dropping on Afghanistan. We're not entirely sure what these talks will yield yet, but we know going into it, there will be much for these countries to discuss that will shape the future of Afghanistan. And another thing that we're specifically looking for next week is an escalation in ongoing tensions between Russia and the West. Last month, Russia concluded its Zapad military drills in Russia and Belarus. These are massive military exercises that many people in Europe are concerned give Russia an excuse to change its force posture in relation to Europe, and it makes many European countries and NATO quite nervous. Moscow has claimed it's doing this in response to what it sees as increased NATO positioning and aggression in Europe, specifically directed towards Russia. One of the things that Russia can do, and is threatening to do, is to increase the amount of Iskander missile systems in the Kaliningrad exclave. First thing you need to know is the Iskander missile system is a mobile long-range missile launcher, and its presence in Europe is a destabilizing factor because it can hit a variety of targets around Europe. Kaliningrad exclave is a little piece of Russia in Western Europe, and the presence of these missiles could further destabilize relations between Russia and the West, and specifically the United States. These are just some of the many items that we track at Stratfor, and I really encourage you to go to stratforworldview.com to really get a feel for what is moving through the international system at any given moment. We have shorter updates on things that are breaking, and we have longer-term assessments and analyses that really get into the weeds of why things matter. We can help you put your world in context.